for the infusion of positive energy into the lives of single Latter-day Saints everywhere. This is Joy in the Journey Radio.
Oh yeah, peeps. Welcome back to another wonderful, joyous episode of Joy in the Journey Radio. I am Lance, your host for Joy in the Journey Radio. Today is the 21st of July, 2021. Check it out, 21. Cool. And this is episode number 186, C, with Johnny Lingo Eyes. The other day, I did something I haven't done in a long time. I watched the classic LDS film, Johnny Lingo. If you haven't seen this 25-minute film from 1969, I just don't know how you could be a real Latter-day Saint. Yeah, the film is that classic. Now, it's 1969, so the film is definitely dated. What then makes it so classic? I think it's the message. The theme of what we think of ourselves playing into the quality of our lives is just timeless. Here we see Mahana, a young woman with low self-esteem. Everyone mocks her for being ugly, and she doesn't doubt it. But Johnny Lingo, the shrewdest trader in the islands, seeks Mahana for his wife. He pays a dowry larger than any can remember, marries Mahana, and then leaves with her on their honeymoon. When they return, everyone marvels at how beautiful Mahana is, and she doesn't doubt it. As I watched the film again recently, I couldn't help but think about dating. Johnny Lingo saw in Mahana something no one else saw. Where everyone else saw an ugly woman worthy of mockery, Johnny Lingo saw a woman so beautiful, everyone would remember her as such forever. The obvious parallels to dating invite us to see others as they could be, and not just as they are. And indeed, we can make more progress in our dating journey when we see with Johnny Lingo eyes. Perhaps the most important dating lesson here is the influence we have over our own dating journey. What we think of ourselves truly makes the biggest difference. Many LDS singles think other people determine their progress in dating. I used to be one of those, but not anymore. Now I understand my influence over the choices others make. I no longer have the victim mentality that once drove me to blame others for why I'm single. Johnny Lingo certainly didn't have a victim mentality. He could have easily chosen to court another woman. All the single women in the island village had their eyes on him, and Mahana thought so poorly of herself she preferred hiding in a tree over facing her suitor. But Mahana changed her tune after Johnny Lingo exercised his influence. He didn't make her change how she thought of herself. Rather, he invited her to do so by thinking better himself of her and acting in accordance with that perspective. He exercised his agency to influence others to choose in his favor. That's a powerful lesson we can apply in our own dating journey. Johnny Lingo saw in Mahana the beautiful woman she really was, and he helped her to see that for herself so she could release that beauty for all to see. He truly walked with her. So often in dating, we look at potential prospects solely as what they are today. We then assume they'll always be that way and judge accordingly. And we certainly don't do anything to help others become what they could be. It's much easier to reject them than walk with them towards their potential. That wasn't Johnny Lingo's attitude. If he'd taken that approach and viewed Mahana as the ugly woman everyone else saw, he'd have chased after some other woman in the village. But Johnny Lingo saw Mahana as she could be, and he walked by her side to help her get there. In the end, that approach resulted in his wife being the most desirable woman on the island. What if we took that approach to dating? What if we started seeing each other with Johnny Lingo eyes? How different would dating be for us? Instead of seeing people as they are now, try seeing people as they could become and asking, if this person were to achieve his or her potential, how attractive a prospect would he or she be then? Johnny Lingo didn't judge Mahana based on what she presented before he married her. He judged her based on what he knew she could become, and he helped her get there. That's what he married, not the ugly girl hiding in a tree, but the beautiful woman that would elicit the admiration of all who saw her. We LDS singles need to adopt this approach in dating. We need to see with Johnny Lingo eyes. When we do, we'll see more opportunity all around us. We'll make more progress in our dating efforts, and we'll enjoy both our single and our married lives more. That will bring us more joy in our journey. Back in a moment.
Joy in the Journey Radio.
And welcome back, peeps. Another wonderful episode of Joy in the Journey Radio. Yeah, today we're talking about seeing with Johnny Lingo eyes. Seeing with Johnny Lingo eyes. Woo. You like the flare? For those of you who are watching the video, you can see the flare. I love this. I love playing with the green screen effect. It isn't working quite right. It's great. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's the red shirt. See, I'm wearing a red shirt. That's where it's coming from. We're feeling good today. And you know what? That's the thing that I really like about this idea of seeing with Johnny Lingo eyes, is that it emphasizes the positive. It emphasizes good feeling and good emotion. If you have, first of all, if you haven't seen this movie, you need to watch. I'm sure you could find it out there on YouTube somewhere. Just type in Johnny Lingo. I'm sure something will come up. Go out there, watch it if you haven't seen it. And like I said, it was made in 1969, so it is dated. It's definitely dated when you watch it, but it's only 25 minutes. So, even if you can't stand old movies, I think you should be able to sit through this. It's 25 minutes. And just the thing is, the story is so wonderfully crafted. Oh, Anna, you ugly. Get down from that tree. This has become classic. It's just become classic. And, as I was watching it, like I said in the monologue, I found that there's a lot here that we can pick up to help improve our dating lives. You know, and I think it really comes back to like the two main ideas that I was bringing out in the monologue. So you've got, on the one hand, you've got what we think about ourselves. Mahana didn't really have that great a life before she married Johnny Lingo. Because before she married Johnny Lingo, she didn't think very highly of herself. She didn't think very highly of herself. And, of course, other people didn't think very highly of her. And so it was just reinforcing, either the one reinforced the other, And so because she didn't think very highly of herself, that influenced other people to not think very highly of her. And then, that just convinced her that what she was thinking about herself was right. And so she thought even more, unfriendly towards herself. And then that influenced other people to think more unfriendly toward her. And it's just this vicious cycle. And I think a lot of us that are single get caught up in those vicious cycles, especially when it comes to dating. I can remember I was like that. I was like that when I was in my 20s. I just had this vicious cycle that was going because, I would focus so much on the failure that I couldn't see the potential for success. And, focusing on the failure just got me to thinking about myself as failure. And so then that's the image that I projected to other people. And so then when I would try to go out and actually do this thing called dating, I obviously wasn't believing in myself that much. I didn't think that much of my chances for success. And so that came across in the way that I was trying to influence people in my favor, which of course it's just shooting yourself in the foot. So people are going to see that. And of course, most of the time what happened, I came back with just a confirmation of what I was thinking about myself. I'm a dating failure, and so therefore you shouldn't date me. And so that's what they decided. And then when they decided that, I was using that, see, there's evidence that what you were thinking was right. And it just constantly, it's this vicious cycle that constantly reinforces itself. So needless to say, when I was in my 20s, I didn't have a lot of dating success. It wasn't until later when I started to make some transformations in myself that I started to have more success in the dating arena. And I look at, what we see here with Johnny Lingo, and I see exactly the same thing. The wonderful thing about Johnny Lingo was he came in and broke the cycle. He came in and broke the cycle. So where Mahana was thinking, she was this ugly woman, that's not what Johnny Lingo saw. Johnny Lingo saw something very, very different. And not only did he believe in that alternative perspective that no one else believed in, not even Mahana, he not only believed in that alternative perspective, but he acted on that alternative perspective. He acted in accordance with it. He projected it. The energy that he radiated was just infused with that alternative perspective. And that was an invitation to others, especially to Mahana, to believe in something different, to believe that Mahana was not the ugly girl that she and everyone else thought she was, but rather that she was a beautiful woman. And not just a beautiful woman, but the most beautiful woman in the entire island. That's saying something. I mean, that's a pretty radical shift when you think about it. Going from, one end of the spectrum all the way to the other. That's a pretty radical shift. How did that happen? Well, it didn't happen overnight. Okay. I mean, you could see in the film that Johnny Lingo goes to bargain for Mahana because that's the tradition there on the island. And, you're looking to, pay a dowry. And so the bargaining is about the amount of the dowry. So there Johnny Lingo is sitting with Mahana's father, and they're discussing the dowry. And the dowry, of course, is cows. Because apparently in the economy of this island, cows are what make a man wealthy. And so they're discussing the number of cows to give for Mahana. And Johnny Lingo is just like, he's known as the shrewdest trader of the island. And, it's just like, hey, you really want to negotiate with this guy who's got this reputation. And of course, he has his reputation because he's earned it. He's earned this reputation as being the shrewdest trader in the island. So, of course, they're thinking about, and the context is what's been done before. That's what everyone's thinking about. They're thinking about this bargaining in the context of what's come before, which is normal. It's what you would expect. So, it seems like if I remember the film right, the most that anyone had ever paid for a wife was 5 cows. Or maybe, what was it, 6? Yeah, I can't remember. I need to watch the film again. So, yeah, so we'll just say 5. It's 5 cows. And then, when Johnny Lingo is like, so how many cows do you want? It's a tricky thing because it's like if you ask too much, that makes you seem too greedy. But if you don't ask enough, then you're cheating yourself out of what you could get. So you kind of have to kind of gauge it. And, you know, I think Mahana's father was like, I can't even really ask 1 cow. So I'm kind of going out on a limb because Mahana is so ugly. All I could really ask for is 1 cow, right? But he's got his advisor there with him, and his advisor is like, you want to kind of up this a little bit. So he ends up asking for 3 cows, and everyone laughs because, of course, a woman as ugly as Mahana could not be worth 3 cows. There's no way. And Johnny Lingo, very shrewdly, he raised his hand to silence everybody, and then he's like, 3 cows is a lot, but it's not good enough for my Mahana. And he's like, I will pay 8 cows. 8 cows. It's like it'd never been heard of before in the islands. 8 cows. And everyone's just like, what? This is Johnny Lingo. And I love this scene in the movie. And Johnny Lingo is like asking, is that acceptable? And And you see the picture of the dad, and he's like got that deer in the headlights look, and he's like, oh, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful shot in the film. You see the face of that dad. I love it, you know. And then it was like, so then the next day he comes and he delivers the 8 cows. Well, that later that night is the actual marriage ceremony and the feast and party that goes on along with it. So there really wasn't a lot of time between you know the time that Mahana was actually doing. Well, she wasn't actually there at the bar. She was there, but she was hiding in a tree. And so the bargaining and then the actual marriage. So the all this while, Mahana thinks of herself as an ugly woman. Even though all of us had I mean, you would think that, okay, you just uh, woman, wake up. Somebody just offered more for your dowry than anyone else has ever offered in the history of your island. Think about that. Nobody can remember anyone ever paying a higher dowry for a woman. And that's you. I mean, you would think that that would begin to change the way you think about yourself. But that's not what the film shows. The film doesn't show Mahana beginning to change the way she thinks. The film shows that she's even more entrenched in what she was thinking about herself. That she thinks about herself as truly an ugly woman. And, of course, after the marriage ceremony, they're at the party. They actually leave the party early and they go off to the islands and, wherever it is that they go for their honeymoon. And I don't know how long they're gone. The film doesn't really say. At least not that I can remember. But what do I know? I can't even remember the exact number of cows. That was the most that anyone had paid before Mahana. So I guess I need to watch this again. But seriously, it's like you don't know how long it took, but there's evidently a change. Okay. When Mahana comes back onto the scene, there's a change that's taken place. So the change that we're talking about and the way that we think about ourselves is not something that happens overnight. It takes time. But Mahana had a huge advantage. Mahana had the advantage of having somebody who thought more of her to walk her through that transformation. A lot of us don't have that. A lot of us are left to our own devices. But Mahana had this wonderful addition of having somebody to walk her through. We're coming up to a break. Let's go ahead and take that break now. And when we come back from the break, I want to get more into this theme of walking with other people through this transition of what they think of themselves and how that can benefit us in our dating journey. We'll see you there on the other side.
Joy in the Journey Radio.
Mahana, you ugly. Get down from that tree. Come join us for Joy in the Journey Radio. We are here today, peeps, in the JJ Zone, talking about seeing with Johnny Lingo eyes. And, before the break, we were talking about this transformation in the way Mahana saw herself and how it really took somebody else to step in and help her through that, to walk her through that. And that's the beautiful thing about Johnny Lingo. It really is because he saw the best in Mahana and he brought it out of her. What if we did that with our dating journey? So often we look at dating and treat it the same as we treat commodity shopping. When you're looking for something, and typically a lot of shopping that people do is online, that, you're looking through and you're like, yeah, I'm looking for something that's actually what I want. And not just a little bit of what I want. I'm looking for something that's precisely what I want. So I know the things that I'm looking for, whatever it is I'm looking for, and you got to have everything. You got to have everything. Because if you don't have everything, then it's just not going to work out. And I'm not going to purchase. Well, we treat dating the same way. We're looking for a prospect that has everything. And if you're missing anything, then it's just not perfect, and therefore we don't even bother to find out more about these people. We don't delve. We don't investigate. We don't research. We don't give people an opportunity to show who they really are inside. And we certainly are not going to do what Johnny Lingo did and walk beside them to help them realize the fullness of their potential. And I just, watching that film again, it just got me thinking. It's like, what if we did that while we were dating? What if we did that in our dating efforts? How would our journey be any different? I think our journey would be substantially different, and it would be different for the better. It would be so much better if we could just learn to see in people what they could become and to judge them based on what they could become rather than what they are now. Because, this is one of the things I think is tripping up a lot of us, and it's keeping us unnecessarily single. When we see people solely as they are now, we need to start looking at what people are going to become in the future. We need to start assessing based on direction and not position, right? Because, see, and I've said this before, peeps, and I'll say it again because it's so apropos to what we're talking about now. That the person you married today is not really the person you're going to get today, right? I mean, it's not the way it works. The way it works is you get the person that you're going, the person that you marry is the person that you're going to get 5, 10, 15 years down the road. That's the person you're going to get when you marry somebody. So you really have to ask yourself, what is this person going to become? And to answer that sort of a question, you have to answer another question, which is, what direction is this person headed in? Where's this person going? Ideally, you want someone who's going to take you where you want to go. So, if you look at somebody and you think, okay, these are the qualities and characteristics that are important to me, is this person headed in that direction? No one's going to be perfect. You'll never find perfect because perfect just doesn't exist. Perfect is something that you get after you walk with somebody and work with them. This is the thing. The perfect marriage is not the union of two perfect people. The perfect marriage is the union of two imperfect people who work together and walk with each other towards perfection. That's where perfect comes from. Perfect comes after, long, long after the marriage. It doesn't come before. And yet, so often in our dating, we insist that perfect come not only before marriage, but before we even have a first date with somebody. And that is so back. You see how we're flipping this whole thing around? We flipped the whole thing around backwards. We've taken something that doesn't come until years after marriage, and we're insisting that it come before we even have the first date. This is why we're so frustrated with the dating, because we're doing it all wrong. We've got it completely backwards. And the only way that we're going to, straighten this out is to put things in its place. We need to start being in the place where we are. So if you're in the friendship stage, be in the friendship stage. If you're in the casual dating stage, be in the casual dating stage. If you're in the exclusive dating stage, be in the exclusive dating stage. I mean, be in the place where you are. And of course, as we've talked about before on the program, if you want to progress from one stage to the next, you need to secure the necessary agreement. How do you secure an agreement? By becoming agreeable. So if you're not getting the agreements you need to become more agreeable. And I think one of the ways that we can become more agreeable is to see with Johnny Lingo eyes. See with Johnny Lingo eyes. See people for their potential. See people as they could become. See people as they're going to become. Ask yourself, what direction are you headed in? Because really, I think it's legitimate to say, okay, to judge somebody as not being, someone that you want to date when you ascertain that their direction is somewhere where you don't want to go. They're headed somewhere where you don't want to go. I think it's legitimate for us to say, okay, they're going in a place where I don't want to go, so I don't want to be with this person. I think that's legitimate. What it's not legitimate is to just look at somebody as the way they are now and then to reject them based on the way they are now. I don't think that's legitimate. I think we need to give people an opportunity to show us who they really are. I think we need to give people an opportunity to show us what direction they're headed in life, and that we should let this information dominate the puffer of information that we're using to make an assessment as to the dating potential of the person in front of us. I really do believe that seeing with Johnny Lingo eyes will help open up more opportunity all around us. The people that we would, initially judge as, you know what, I don't really think so. You know what? We'll open our eyes. We'll open our eyes to see that what we're really looking for is right in front of us. We just can't see it because we're looking at the wrong thing. We're looking at potential. Excuse me, we're looking at position and not potential. We're looking at where people are today and not where they're headed. And I think if we just kind of flip this around and look at things from an alternative perspective, the way Johnny Lingo did, if Johnny Lingo wasn't very popular with the perspective that he had on Mahana, that wasn't a popular way to look at Mahana. The popular way to look at Mahana was, "Mahana, you ugly. Get down from that tree." I mean, that that was the popular way to look at Mahana. That's not the way Johnny Lingo looked at her. He took the unpopular route. He took the the path that was alternative, but it was the path that was right. It was the path that brought out the best in Mahana. It was the path based in love. And I think that we need to take that path when we start looking at dating prospects. And our dating will improve if we start basing it on love instead of this whole, love of others rather than love of self. Because that's what this whole search for perfection is. When we start looking at, people and insisting that they be perfect before we even talk to them, let alone have a first date, before we even talk to them, they have to be perfect. Come on. What is that? That's self-love. That's not love of other people. Because you're not giving them an opportunity to show who they really are. You're not even caring about who they really are. That's not love of others. That's love of self. That's love of self because you're insisting that you have your perfection in somebody else before you even interact with them. That's love of self. And of course, when you take that path, you're going to be frustrated. You're not going to have the joy that you could be having in your journey because love of self never leads to ultimate joy. It never does. It's always love of others. So if we see with Johnny Lingo eyes, if we really love other people and we give other people the opportunity to show us who they really are, and of course, that's going to take time. That's going to take time to show somebody who you really are. I mean, do you really think that's going to happen in a simple conversation? You really think that's going to happen on just one date? You really think that's going to happen on 2 dates or 3 dates? I think we need multiple interactions with people in different settings, in different environments, uh, you know, with different contexts to really evaluate who people really are. And that's something that's going to take time. But too often, again, we treat dating like commodity shopping where we expect everything to happen, boom, instantaneously. We're expecting, just like you're shopping for something on Amazon. You scroll through, the list of search results, and you find something that looks like it might be, and you read the description, and you look at what other people have to say about it because you're looking for social proof, and then you find something that's like, okay, I think this is what I want. You make the purchase, and 2 days later, it shows up at your door. And we expect dating to be the same way. You know, we expect to scroll through profiles of people in some sort of online application, and then if we find perfect, then we're expecting, boom, I make the purchase, and then I expect what I purchased to come straight to me to my door, almost immediately. And you see, our expectations are so screwed up. You can't treat people like things. You can't treat people like things. And this is why you can't treat dating like commodity shopping. Because when you're dating, you're dealing with people as opposed to shopping when you're dealing with things. And people are not things. So the way that we treat things doesn't necessarily transfer over to the way that we should treat people. And very often it doesn't. So we really need to get, you should get our heads screwed on straight. We got to start again. I'll say it again, peeps. It's all up here. It's all up here in the head. It's all in what you think. What you think is everything. And Johnny Lingo has shown us a way that, if we see with Johnny Lingo eyes, we can improve the way we think. And that improvement in the way we think can really help us in our dating journey. We're coming to another break. So let's go ahead and take that break. And we come back from the break. I want to look at something kind of unique, something I haven't done on the program before. And it's really going to be, if you're not watching the video, peeps, you really need to watch the video. Become a JJ Zoner, watch the video, because it's really gonna home for you to actually have the visual with what I'm about to do. So we'll get to that after the break. See you there on the other side.
Joy in the Journey Radio.
And welcome back from that break, peeps. We are here in the JJ Zone, Join the Journey Radio. Today, talking about seeing with Johnny Lingo eyes. I want to wrap up the program today with a little exercise that I think would be very helpful. And, there's a visual component here that's going to be especially helpful for what I want to do. So I'm leveraging this new video format that the program is now in. So if you're listening on, just audio without the video, then, you're going to want to see the whole video. And of course, to see the whole video, I haven't decided if I'm going to put this whole program. I may decide to put the whole program up because it really is that important, I think, for us to see with Johnny Lingo eyes. I think it can make a huge difference in our dating. And so I may just put the whole program up. We'll see. But, if I don't for whatever reason, because YouTube's kind of sketchy sometimes, what they allow people to post. So I'm just gonna, we'll see what happens with that. But in the event that I can't put the whole thing up, then you're gonna have to, become a JJ Zoner. Which, of course, I'm trying to make this inexpensive so that people aren't burdened with joining, so they can join the community of JJ Zoners, of people that we have here in the Join the Journey Radio community. And, you can see the actual video in its entirety, and not just for this episode, but for past episodes as well. So, the stuff that's there in the archive, you've got full access to all of that. So, become a JJ Zoner today. And to do that, find out more, go to jointhejourneyradio.com. But I want to get into in this last segment, because time is short, I want to get into looking at seeing with Johnny Lingo eyes. And so, what I did was I searched the internet for pictures of weight loss success stories. And I found a ton of photos, right? And so we're going to look at a few of those photos here today. Let's throw the first one up here. So, check this out. Now, here you see the woman on the left is the before, and the woman on the right is the after. Now, come on, brethren. A lot of us single guys looking at the woman on the left and thinking, no. No. In a word, no. But then you look on the woman on the left, you're like, oh, hubba, hubba, yeah. Yes, please, give me more. There's a very different, but if you look at, especially if you look at the face and the shape of different features on the face, you can see this is the same person. This is the same person. And yet, we would look at the woman on the left and say, no way. But the woman on the right, we would say, oh, yes. But it's the same person. It's the same person. So what I want to ask you is this question. Can you see the woman in the right inside the woman on the left? Because if we judge solely based on position, you're not going to get a complete picture of what you're going to get. Remember, when you marry somebody, what you get is not the person you get today, but the person that you get 5, 10, 15 years down the road. So you need to assess direction. You can't assess direction looking solely at the woman on the left. You can't. You need time to pass through so you can see a progression, so you can assess direction. And then when you assess that direction, then you can actually look and say, okay, now I can see where you're headed. You're headed towards that woman on the right. That woman on the right, that's somewhere I want to be. right? And so then you're like, okay, so then you're more able to accept the woman on the left. And so the woman that you thought was not an opportunity really is an opportunity because you learn to see with Johnny Lingo eyes. You learn to see the potential that's there inside somebody. Let's check out another one here. So I'm going to check out this next picture here, and let's see if I can get this to come up. Gonna get this to come up right. So okay, here we go. So yeah, you got the same thing here, peeps. The woman on the left, most of us guys would say no way, but now check out the woman on the right. No, looking better. Here's another one. Check this out. Again, you see the same thing, and if you again look at the face, look at the facial features, and you can see the thing I love about this one is, I mean, you can see the emotion behind the face. The woman on the left is kind of like Mahana, doesn't really think much of herself. But the woman on the right, yeah, the way she thinks about herself is much, much improved. And a lot of it has to do with, all that weight that she lost. She actually improved herself. And she's a much more attractive and enticing prospect for a guy. Here's another one that we're looking at. So, again, a lot of us guys look at the woman on the right would say, "Oh, good gracious, no." You know, you know, you know, to be like, "Please, please don't come talk to me. I don't want to talk to you." But the woman on the right, mm, oh yeah. I'm saying that's yeah, yeah. I'd be interested in getting to know her better. But again, look at the facial features and you can see it's the same person. The same person. Can we see with Johnny Lingo eyes? Can you see the person on the right inside the person on the left? Can you see that? Uh, that's what we need to begin to see. Because when you see that person in the right, inside the person on the left, then you can be Johnny Lingo. You can help this person realize her potential. And you can bring it out of her so that you actually create more of what you're looking for. See, this is why it's so backwards for us to be looking for perfect before we even have a first date. Perfection is something that comes after. Perfection is something that you work towards together with someone else. It's not something you acquire. It's something you work towards. Check out this picture. I mean, again, the woman on the left is like, yeah, she's kind of smiling and everything, but yeah, not really all that, you know. And then, oh my goodness, check out the woman on the right. Oh, yes, please. I need some of that. I mean, that's what a lot of us guys are saying when we see that. So, seeing with Johnny Lingo eyes can really help to improve us in our dating prospects. And you know what, ladies, don't be getting full of yourself here, because guess what? Now it's your turn. Because seeing with Johnny Lingo eyes works for you as well. It works for you as well. Okay. Check out this picture right here, right? Okay, so here we've got the guy on the left looking a little flabby there. The guy on the right, yeah, he's looking pretty lean, toned. Now I can guarantee you, okay, you have like a single adult event at a pool. You're like out doing swimming or at the beach or something. The guy on the left the ladies aren't going to be flocking around him. They're going to be flocking around the guy on the right. We all know this, and I've seen it myself with my own eyes. Okay, so I ask you the same question I asked the brethren, ladies. Can you see inside the guy on the left, the guy on the right? Here's another example. Check this out. Again, the guy on the left, look a little flabby, but the guy on the right looking much more tone, much more tone. Okay. And again, it's the same guy. Look at the facial features and you'll see it's the same guy. Can you see the man on the right inside the man on the left? Can you see that? Again, here's another one. Okay. I mean, the guy on the left, he's not going to get any attention at all. This guy's not going to be on anyone's radar. But you take the guy on the right, and yeah, he's looking a lot more trim. He's likely to get a lot more attention. Okay, check this out. This one is really nice. Okay, again, we're seeing the same thing. The guy on the left, he's so big he's not getting any attention. But the guy on the right, yeah, yeah. After the transformation, you're going to get that again. Can you see the thin man, the muscular man, the more tone and fit man inside the man who's fat and flabby and, anything but tone? Can you see that? Again, looking at this, okay? So here's a guy, definitely got the dad gut, they're on the left, but they're on the right. I mean, he's looking, yeah, I mean, GQ cover model, ladies. I mean, and I can guarantee you, this guy shows up at a singles event, the ladies are going to flock around this guy because he's got the muscles that attract the natural woman. So, again, he's not a different man though. He's not fundamentally, he's not different. It's just the exterior that's different. So, can you see the man on the right inside the man on the left? You know, we're getting near the end of the program here. So, I just wanted to, put out this out and just kind of exemplify this whole idea of, can you see with Johnny Lingo eyes? Because I really do believe if we learn to give people an opportunity to, show us who they really are inside, if we learn to, give them that time to show us that so we can assess their direction and see where they're headed. And if they're headed in a place where we really want to go, then the fact that they're not there yet shouldn't deter us from getting to know them better, shouldn't deter us from dating them, shouldn't deter us from investigating possibility. Because really, when you think about it, we all have potential, but are we reaching that potential? Are we reaching after it? Are we moving in a direction to where, we're going to achieve our potential? And if, find somebody who is looking for that potential and doing something to reach after it, the fact that they're not there now is not going to deter me. Because to me, what's most attractive is someone who's actually reaching after that potential and someone who's going to be willing to help me reach mine. If we started to look at each other with Johnny Lingo eyes, what a difference that could make in our dating journey. So, let's do that. Let's start seeing each other with Johnny Lingo eyes and let's start having more joy in our dating journey. Well, that's all the time we have for Join the Journey Radio today. I want to thank everyone for listening. I hope I was able to offer you something beneficial. And if I was helpful to you today, then I want you to pay it forward. Pay me back by paying it forward. Find somebody else who you can help in your sphere of influence and help that person. And together, let's bring more light and goodness into this, dark and evil world that we live in today. And, if, again, if something that I've said today is helpful, then please share Join the Journey Radio with your friends. Share Join the Journey Radio with those who you think it could benefit. Let's start spreading light and, the positive energy and goodness to everyone around us. And don't forget to come back next week for another wonderful, splendiferous episode of Join the Journey Radio. So, Mahana, you ugly, get down from that tree and listen to Join the Journey Radio. Oh, until next time, this is your host reminding you there is joy to be had all along our journey. So take that joy and journey on.